सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। ॐ हयग्रीवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीवल्लभा समेत श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। So we were looking at the akshepa to abhinnatvam, you can say, because Ramanuja-Mata-Khandana-poorvakam, they don't accept that there is abhinna, or there is, in fact, they say that Brahman itself is having bhinna. Within Brahman also there is different Visheshanas, and Brahman is the only Vishishta. So this is their Siddhanta. But we say that all the Veda, etc., are only Kalpita. There is no real Veda, it is all only Mithya. So then a question comes, how did it get, see, Kalpita means literally it can even mean imagined, correct? How did it get imagined, or how did it appear, you can say. So if you say all the difference, etc., is only an appearance, how did it appear? Means we have to say Ajnanam. So that was the last question, in fact. Nanu kena kalpitam brahmani prameyatvadikam. So the state of being a known. Of course, once you say known, there is a knower, there are means of knowledge, all these different things. The Veda will come. Subject object is the most basic division. So how did all these things appear? Means only due to ajnana, ajnanena iti. So now once you say ajnana, again the discussion goes into ajnana. What is the nature of this ajnana, etc.? We can see it here. So if you see this, nanu uktameva tathapi kim tad ajnanam brahmanaha abhinnam ut abhinnam. So now, since the discussion is about Veda, now the question is asked, what, even though it has been uktameva, he is saying, although we have already talked about this, but again in this context it is being asked, what is that? Whether this ajnana is something separate from Brahman or it is non-separate. So if you say that ajnana is not separate from Brahman, correct? Adye brahmanaha jadutvadi apattihi. Then ajnana and Brahman will become one and the same. And then we say that ajnana is jada, Brahman also will become jada. Now if you say no, ajnana is not same as Brahman, it is something else, it is separate, then also there is a problem. What is that? Dvitiye ajnana pratiyogikaha sabhedaha im bhinne brahmani vartate uta abhinne. So once you talk about bheda like ajnana, all these things require a pratiyogi. Okay, we talk about, whenever you talk about ignorance, you have to talk about what is the Vishaya, correct? There is a Vishaya and Ashraya. That is what we call it as Pratiyogi and Anuyogi. Particularly with reference to Abhava, we call it Pratiyogi, Anuyogi. With reference to Ajnana, we call it as Vishaya and Ashraya. Now, this Ajnana Pratiyogi is Brahman only, correct? And this Brahman has a Bheda. Now, this Bheda itself is there in a Brahman which is Bhinna Brahman or Abhinna Brahman. It is like asking, like, if there is a Visheshana and a Vishishta. Now, how did you even say that that it is Vishishta means that Vishishta itself is then having a Visheshana or it is Nirvishesha. It is questioning something similar. We have already seen such arguments before. So if you say no, it is Bhinnam Brahmani Vartate Bhedaha means then what about the Bhinna which is already there? Means it will either become Anavastha or it will become Chakraka or Atmashraya Dosha, all these things we have seen. Or if you say no, Abhinnam Brahmani uh, Bhinnatvam Vartate. So in the Abhinna Brahman only Bhinnatvam is there. Then also there is a problem. Then it will become Vyaghata. Correct? So that's what he is saying. Adye Atmashrayadi Dosha Prasangaha. So if you say already Bhinnam Brahma, in that Bhinnatvam is there. Then Atma Ashrayadi, Adi Padat, we know that we have other doshas also, Anavastha, Chatraka, etc. or Anyonya Ashraya. Then Dvitiye, Vyaghata iti che. So if you say no, Abhinnam Brahmani Bhinnatvam Vartate, means Vyaghata. So if you try to put us in a corner like this, how do we answer? Iti chet ma evam, it is not in that manner. Why? Ajnanam Brahmanaha na bhinnam नापि अभिन्नम नापि भिन्ना भिन्नम किंतु भिन्नत्वाभ्याम दुर्निरूपमेव तत्व अन्यत्वाभ्याम अनिर्वचनीयम like that even Bhashyakara says. So you cannot establish whether it is different or non-different or both different and non-different also. If you say it becomes contradictory, that's why we say it is uncategorizable. You cannot categorize it as either bhinna or abhinna. That is why it is durnirupa. In fact, our author uses the durnirupa word more than anirvachaniya, but even that also is using atayeva anirvachyam because it cannot be categorized. It is now said as anirvachyam. So anirvachyam generally translated as inexplicable, but inexplicable. Why it is inexplicable means basically because it is uncategorizable. You cannot categorize it as this or that. In any category you cannot put. Okay. In that manner it is anirvachya. And further, what do we say? Ajnanam hi Brahma Shakti hi. So Ajnana is looked upon as a Brahma Shakti. And any Shakti, again you cannot say whether it is Bhinna or Abhinna from the Vastu. The Vastu has a Shakti. Whether that Shakti is Bhinna or Abhinna, you cannot establish. That's what he's trying to show now. See, Agni Shakti Agner Bhinnatwadina Dur Nirupa eva. So even if you take fire, and fire has the power to burn, let us say, but this power or Shakti, whether it is separate from fire or it is same as fire, that itself is not establishable. Why? So he is saying, explaining that Patahi yad Agni Shakti Agner Abhinna Tarhi Mani Mantradina Agni Shakti Pratibandhe Agner Nashahasya. So in the even the Agni, its ability to burn can be restricted or hindered. Okay, there can be pratibandha for that. How? Initially, we say mani mantra aushadadi. So there are ways of making the agni not burn also. Even though the agni, the flame is there, even if you put your finger in it, it will not burn because using mani means some kind of ratna, correct? Some kind of a jewel or mantra or even this. There are aushadhas also for this. So you become fire resistant, but still the agni is there. So agni doesn't have the dahakatvam. It does not destroy also. It is not destroyed. But if we say dahakatvam is the Shakti of Agni, that Shakti is not there, but Agni is still there. So that means the Shakti should be separate from Agni, you can say. But yadi bhinna agnehe pritak upalabhyeta. But if it is really separate, it should be available other than Agni also. That way also you cannot see that. Dahakatvam is always with Agni only. It is Agni Swarupa, you can say, but still that Shakti, that it can be hindered. That without that Shakti also Agni is there, but that Shakti is not there without the Agni. So in one way you can say this is the same as Satyam Mithya, right? Mithya is Satyam because there is no Mithya without the Satyam being cognized in some form. But Satyam can be there without Mithya. So you can say the Shakti is a dependent existence. That's why you cannot see it separately. But the one who wields the Shakti is independent still. We can say that. So that way, na bhinna, abhinna, ekatva, viruddha dharma, dvayatva, dvayat, dvaya, iti, ayoga. So it can also be bhinna, bhinna if somebody says, because the Jains and all, they have some syad vadas, correct? They say asti, nasti, asti, nasti, and then they also have something called avaktavyaha. So asti avaktavyaha, nasti avaktavyaha, asti nasti avaktavyaha, like that 7 things they say. Those things we do not really accept. In fact, in one place I think Bhashyakara applies the Syad Vada itself to Syad Vada and says that it is not, you cannot take it as any see, just without any conclusion, that itself, that conclusiveness itself cannot be taken as a conclusion. That's what Bhashyakara says. Jnanam means it has to be conclusive. The inconclusiveness itself cannot be taken as jnanam. So he rejects that Syadvada. So we can also not say bhinna bhinna is there. Bhinnatvam also is there, abhinnatvam also is there in the in the same vastu. Ekatva viruddha dharma dvayatva iti yoga. So in one only, two viruddha dharmas cannot be there at the same time. Therefore, that also is not there. Therefore, what? Asmad durniroopatva iti. Because of that, it is not easily, you cannot really say that it is something which you can uh, which you can say as this or that. It is durnirupa. Okay. Now what the question comes? Yatha no. So he is saying now, nanu yatha ajnanam tat prayukta bhedascha durnirupam tatha abhedaha api durnirupa eva. Now the Purvapakshi is saying, okay, you are saying ajnanam is durnirupa, but we are discussing bheda here, correct? Bhinnatvam. Now if bhinna is durnirupa like ajnana, correct? So ajnanam tat prayukta bhedascha. So we say that bheda is due to ajnana. Fine. Both ajnana and bheda are therefore durnirupa. If ajnana is durnirupa, bheda also is durnirupa. Similarly, then abhedaha also will become durnirupa. So tatha abhedaha api durnirupa eva. So once they say this, they think that they have again cornered us. So now what? Kim abhedaha brahmanaha swarupam uta dharmaha आद्ये प्रतियोगी निरपेक्ष व्यवहार प्रसंगः. So further what he is asking, whether this abheda is Brahman Swarupa or it is its dharma. If you say abheda is Brahman Swarupa, now the abheda and Brahman should mean the same thing then, but it is not our understanding. Because abheda always requires a pratiyogi. Non-different means non-different from what? Non-difference of what? From what, etc. If you ask, there is a pratiyogi, apeksha is there for abheda. Okay. Therefore, that is a problem. But if you say it is the swarupa, then it has to be pratiyogi nirapeksha, correct? The swarupa of something cannot be based on something else. So, if you say abheda is Brahman swarupa, it should be pratiyogi nirapeksha, I mean it should not depend on any pratiyogi to establish itself. But abheda is requiring a pratiyogi always. Therefore, it cannot be abheda, cannot be Brahman Swarupa. Okay. So he is saying that further, natu tatha vyavaharaha asti into pratiyogi sapeksha eva brahmana bhavati abhedi घटध्वंसे घटाकाशः न भिन्नः नभसः यथा इत्यादि प्रतीते. So he is even giving an example. What he is saying, abheda is always pratiyogi sapeksha only. It depends on pratiyogi. Therefore, even brahmanaha abhedaha, for something you have to say, you have to talk about Brahman and something else also. Correct? Two things. There is an abhedi, abhedin and Brahman. And this abhedin is not separate from Brahman is what we are saying. Like he is saying, ghatadvamse, ghatakashaha, na bhinnaha, nabhasaha, yatha. So when the ghata is destroyed, there is a ghatakasha. Then the ghatakasha has become one with mahakasha. Ityadi pratitehe. So for them, I think ghatakasha itself is a separate entity. So this is the problem with yoga also, correct? If you say really there is a union, there is no real union. That's why we have to say. So this Jiva Brahma Aikya, when we say, it is not a union. You should not translate it as union because many people, yoga also is a problem. Yoga means yujidhatu, yoking and all that, even in English. So union of individual self with the supreme self, all these things you can read in English. So it merges, the individual self in samadhi merges with the supreme self, and that is moksha. But if there is any real merger, there will also be demerger. So sanyogaha, viyogantaha only. It is a problem. There will be, if there is really two things. That's why Aikya is not merger or union. Aikya is identity, we say. So anyway, so here he is saying Ghatadvamsa when it happens, then Ghatakasha is separate and then it becomes one with Mahakasha or Nabhas here, Nabhasaha. Bhinnaha, na bhinnaha, he says. Therefore, here also there are two things, and then one became non-separate with the other. That is the pratiti, that is the vyavahara. Therefore, there is a pratiyogi sapeksha is there, or even to say something is abheda with something else, and therefore it cannot be the swarupa because swarupa means it should be pratiyogi nirapeksha. Okay, what about dharma? If you say abheda is dharma of Brahman, dvitiye, brahmanaha, savisheshatvam agatam. If you say it is a dharma, then Brahman becomes dharmi, then it will become savishesha. Then you have come to Vishishtadvaitam only. It is Ishtapattihi for the Purvapakshi. Then it will be Apasinta Siddhanta for us, correct? So he is saying that Tatascha Apasiddhantaha Tavaiti. So it will become Apasiddhanta for us. So if you say all these things, what? Iti chet ma evam. It's not in this manner. Why? Abhedaha durniroopatva sunirupaha va bhavatu kim asmakam ten. So what we say is we don't care about abheda. Whether it is sunirupa or durnirupa, we are not really establishing any abheda. What we are doing, we are actually negating bheda. That is the important thing for us. So he is saying, Nahi vayam abhedam sadhayamaha. So we are not really establishing abheda independently or separately or anything. Correct? Yena tat swarupam va dharmaha va iti tvaya chodyeta. So now we are not establishing abheda separately, by which now you can ask whether this abheda itself is a dharma or swarupa, etc. and all that. You can start analyzing that. No. What we are doing, kintu bhedam pratishedhamaha. We are only negating bheda. In fact, we means what? Shruti is doing that, correct? So he is saying, Shrutischa neha nanasti kinchana iti bhedameva pratishedhati. So Shruti is negating bheda. That's doing. That is the main thing for us, not that we are establishing something separately called Abheda. So that is our Siddhanta. So Neha Nanasti Kinchana, the Shruti itself is establishing that. Okay. Then what? He is saying now what? Nacha advaitamapi pratipadayati shrutihi iti vachyam. So, no, now in fact, now the Purva Bakshi says, no, Shruti talks about Advaita. I don't know how they can say this because then it is Apasiddhanta for them. But anyway, so now the argument is what? No, Shruti is also revealing Advaita. But the beauty is the word Advaita itself is a negative word. That is the important thing. Correct? It is basically Veda Rahitatvam only is said by Advaita. So that's what he is pointing out now. So, uh, Advaitamapi Pratipadayati Shruti, when he says that, what we say, Veda Nisheda Paratvat Tasyaha. So even the word Advaita itself, it is non-dual, correct? That's why just saying one is not enough. One means one, one can lead to many also, correct? One, two, three, like that if you start counting. In fact, Brahman is even beyond counting. That is the important thing we have to understand. So that's why we say it is non-dual. One and non-dual, both we have to say. One and only one and non-dual. So it is all basically Bheda Nisheda Paratvam only is there, even for the word Advaita or Advaya. So in fact, we quote that, correct? The Brihadaranyaka says that, or even Chandogya also says that. So Nacha Salila Eko Drashta Advaitaha iti Dvaita Rahitam Brahma Pratipadayati iti Vachyam Tasya Iktatva. So now the Purva Pakshi says, no, the Advaita word is there. Salilaha, Ekaha, Drashta. This is all 4-3 in Brihadaranyaka. So Dvaita Rahitatvam is said by Shruti means if you say that, then it is Ishta for us, correct? We are also saying the same thing. Dvaita Rahitatvam only Shruti is teaching, and that's what we want. Okay, once we say that, what Purvashi comes back, Nacha Veda Rahitam Brahma, Veda Abhava Vishishtam Eva iti. When I say, now they say, if you say there is no Veda in Brahman, then it is what? It is Veda Abhava Vishishta, he say. Abheda Vishishta for them is what? Veda Abhava Vishishta. So this Abhava Vishishtatvam is a weird thing, correct? In fact, the Nayayikas talk about that. And many of these Dvaitins, they just follow the Nayayika and wherever it suits them. So he is now saying, if you say that Shruti is revealing Advaitam Brahma, then basically it is revealing a Bheda Abhava Vishishta Brahma. So Brahman is Vishishta, Bheda Abhava itself becomes the Visheshana. You cannot say that. Why? Yahi Abhavaha Kasya Chid Vastunaha Visheshyam Visheshanam Va Bhavati. So the Abhava can Abhava by itself cannot be a Visheshana or a Visheshya or anything like that. Okay, Abhava cannot be the locus of any guna or Visheshana, nor it can itself become a guna or Visheshana of some other locus or some other vastu, some other entity. So Abhava cannot be either a Visheshana or a Visheshya. Therefore, what Abhavatvadeva Sashashringavaditi. So why do we say that? Because it is Abhava, it is non-existence, correct? Like even the hair's horn are Atyanta Asat. Abhava, in general, if you say Abhava, it is like it is Atyanta Asat only. It is Shashashringavat. Therefore, what? Nacha Bhutalam Ghata Abhavaditi Prayoge Ghata Abhavasya Visheshanatvam Bhutale Ghata Abhavaha iti Prayoge Tasya Visheshyatvam cha Shastra Vidbhihi Abhyupetam iti Vachyam. So now Purva Pakshi is saying what? No. Those who know the Shastra, he is now quoting the Nyaya Shastra and Vaisheshika, Nyaya Vaisheshika people only. So Shastra Vidbhihi, by the ones who know the Shastra, what do they say? Bhutala, the ground is Ghata Bhavavat, it has Ghata Bhava. So like this, when you say in this Prayoga, in this usage, what? Ghata Bhavasya Visheshanatvam, the Ghata Bhava becomes the Visheshana. And then only you say Bhutale Ghata Bhavaha, correct? So Bhutale Ghata Bhavaha iti Prayoge tasya Visheshatvam, the Bhutala becomes the Visheshya. and Gata Abhava becomes a Visheshana. Like this, those who know the Nyaya Shastra, Vaisheshika Shastra, they accept this. So why are you not accepting? Means we don't accept that. Okay, you cannot quote Nyaya Vaisheshika to us because we only go by the Shruti and also Yukti. Many times, even though the Nayayika is called Tarkika, their Tarka is not proper. Okay. So here what do we say? Visheshana Visheshyatvayoho Bhava Dharmatvat Abhavasya cha Satta Ayogat Tat Abhibhagamasya Anadaraniyatva. So Visheshana and Visheshya for us should always be Bhava. Okay. They have to be Bhava Dharma only. And Abhava does not have any Satta. It doesn't have Satta Yogyatvam. So Satta Ayogyam only is there for Abhava. And therefore it cannot be accepted by us. Okay. So this is what we say. We don't accept that Abhava can either be a Visheshya or a Visheshana. In spite of that, if you say that, then Bhashyakara says that it has to be only Bhavarupa. That is the beauty. Therefore, what Nacha, in fact, we are the original, although, see, Shankara is called Mayavadi. In fact, Shankara is the ultimate Sadvadi, we have to say, correct? We don't accept any Abhava at all. In fact, we are Brahmavadins. Brahman being always there, we cannot accept any Abhava. In fact, that is why the Vaisheshika is called Ardha Vainashika. Vaisheshikas are called half Buddhist. Why? Because they say the Karya is not there. The non-existent Karya becomes born. And the existent Karya becomes non-existent after it is destroyed and all that. So they are called Ardha Vainashika. But we don't accept any non-existence at all, in fact. That's why Bhagavan clearly says that in Gita, correct? Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha. That is the basic thing. So, we cannot accept this. Okay, then what? Nacha bhedasya eva anyonya bhavarupattvena bheda abhavasya bhavatvam eva na bhavatvam bhava abhavasya bhavatva abhibhagamad iti vachyam. Okay, now what he is saying is Bheda is Anyonya Bhava. According to the Nayayika, whatever they call Anyonya Bhava is really Bheda. And Bheda being Anyonya Bhava and Bheda Abhava, if you say, because we are saying Abheda is there in Brahman, correct? Or there is no Bheda in Brahman. Bheda is negated in Brahman. So according to you, Bheda Abhava means then Abhavasya Abhava. Anyonya Abhavasya Abhava, double negative. So it will become Bhava, he is saying. So Bheda Abhavasya Bhavatvam eva. So the Bheda Abhava will become Bhava. Why? Because Abhava, na Abhavatvam, and it is not Abhava. So the Bheda Abhava itself will become Bhava and it is not Abhava. Why? Abhavasya Abhavaha, correct? Will be what? Bhavatvam. So Abhava Abhavasya Bhavatva Abhibhagamat. So if you say non-existence of non-existence, it will become existent. Therefore, whatever Bheda Abhava you are saying, it is not really Abhava, it is Bhava. You say that what? We don't accept that. Why? Bhedasya Brahmani Ajnanena Kalpitattvena Kalpita Abhavasya Adhisthana Anatirikke Adhisthana Anatireka Atireka Veda Bhavaha Brahmaiva Yatha Rajju Sarpa Abhavaha Rajjureva. Okay. So now what we are saying is what? Veda is Kalpita. This is only an appearance. That's why we have to say there is no real Bheda. That's why the Mahavakya is basically an identity. It's not that individual self merges or has union with Brahman, etc. There is no union. It is identical because all Bheda is Kalpita. So Vedasya Brahmani Ajnanena Kalpitattvena. So this Veda only is an appearance in Brahman, and whatever appears when it when that appearance is negated, correct? How it is negated? That's why we say it is badhayam samanadikaranyam, correct? When we say rope is snake, that rope, even if we say it vanishes and all that, it merges into the adhisthana only, correct? So the kalpita sarpa becomes one with the, or it is identical with the rope alone. So adhisthana anatirekatvam is there for any kalpita abhava. So we do say that whatever is kalpita, whatever is appearing, there is a trikalika nishedatvam is there and all we say, correct? At any point in time, it was really not there, but it appeared. So we negate that appearance. And when we negate it, what is there is really the adhisthana alone. That negation, whatever, even if we say it is non-existence, that non-existence resolves into the adhisthana. It is adhisthana anatireka, means it is not separate from the adhisthana. Therefore, bheda abhavaha brahmaiva. So, bheda abhava is Brahman, which is existence. Fine. If you say bheda abhava is existence, that existence is Brahman alone, correct, for us. And it's not a problem really. Yatha Rajju Sarpa Bhavaha Rajjureva. So if you say Rajju Sarpa is not there, basically you are saying Rajju is there. Correct? So the Rajju Sarpa Abhava, again, see, because here we have given a Visheshana to Abhava. So Sarpa Abhava, as soon as you say that, it has to be there in Rajju only. So it becomes Bhava Rupa. Fine. So therefore what? Nacha evam Bheda Abhavasya Brahma Swarupatve Sati Bhavaha Swarupam iti Praptam Vachyam Praptam iti Vachyam. Okay, so now what he is saying? Veda Abhava is Brahma Atireka, Anatireka you have said. Therefore, Abhava becomes the Swarupa of Brahman. This is the argument, next argument. So, Veda Abhavasya Brahma Swarupatve. So, if you say Veda Abhava is Brahma Swarupa only, that being the case, what? Brahman has now got Abhava as its Swarupa. That will be the implication he is saying. So you cannot say that. Why? Because the Kevala Bhavasya Swarupatvam. So we don't accept that a Kevala Abhava, only Abhava does not have any Swarupa or anything. But what? Kintu Bheda Abhavasya Jagat Abhavasya va taditi. But if you say a particular Visheshana, like Bheda Abhava or even entire Jagat also, correct? Because the Shruti is basically doing Adhyaropa of the entire Jagat as Karya and then does Apavada. So that Apavada has to be done. And for whatever you do the Apavada, there has to be Adhisthana. Correct? You are doing the Apavada on an Adhisthana only always. So the Adhisthana Rupena Bhavatvam we can accept. That's why any Visheshana if you give to a Bhava, correct? Abhava with a Visheshana is always Bhava Rupa only. It cannot be otherwise. That's why this avidya or ajnana as jnana abhava is meaningless because Bhashyakara doesn't accept any abhava. If you add any kriya or visheshana or anything to the abhava, abhava becomes bhava only. Okay. So therefore what? If we say this, then they come back. Nacha evam ghata abhavaha api brahmaiva iti vachyam. So now he is saying, no, if you say that any abhava is like Bheda Bhava or Jagata Bhava and all is Brahman only, then even Ghata Bhava should be Brahman, is saying. In fact, it is Ishta for us. We accept that. So we say what? Vastutaha Tathatvepi. So even though Vastutaha, that is true, correct. Any Abhava has to be there in Brahman because the Satta is Brahman only. Sat, whatever is Sat, Sat, Sat in each and every cognition, it is Brahman. So that is the, in fact, the Jnani's drishti is that. Even though it is like that. So, vastutaha tathatvepi mridi ghatasya kalpitatvena ghata abhavaha mrit swarupam iti vyavaharaha. But in the vyavahara, generally what people say, this is clay pot. Means the pot is appearing in the clay. And if you negate the pot, then what? It is in the form of clay, we have to say, correct? So, Bridi Ghatasya Kalpitatvena, Ghata Abhavaha, Brid Swarupam. So, the Ghata Abhava is of the form of clay. That is the Vyavaha. So, it is fine. Okay, once if you say this word, no, they don't accept. He's saying, Nacha, Vastutaha Tatatvam Katham iti Vacyam. So, now, how can you say that Vastutaha, any Abhava is Brahman alone? Like Ghata Abhava. Means we explained that. In fact, he has done a beautiful job here. So he's saying what? Mridavachinna chaitanyam, chaitanya, chaitanyeva ghatasya kalpitatva. So when we say ghata is kalpita, where it is kalpita means in mrid we say. But mrid itself is what? Mrid itself is mridavachinna chaitanya only. Like any vishaya is vishaya avachinna chaitanya for us. Because chaitanya only is giving the satta for everything. Therefore, it is mridavachinna chaitanya. So evam sarvamapi dvaitam तत्तद अवच्छिन्न चैतन्य एव कल्पितम. So any dvaita, any vastu, any entity which is separate from Brahman, it is all imagined in that name and form conditioned. Brahman conditioned by that name and form alone, correct? It is all. So Mrida avachinna chaitanyam, pata avachinna chaitanyam, ghata avachinna chaitanyam, like that you can go on. Then even if you go further, what? Molecule avachinna chaitanyam, atom avachinna chaitanyam, like that we can go in the modern sense. In our traditional creation model also we can go back, correct? We can say Mrida avachinna chaitanyam is nothing but Prithvi avachinna chaitanyam. That itself is Jala avachinna chaitanyam, Agni avachinna chaitanyam, Vayu avachinna chaitanyam, Akasha avachinna chaitanyam. That is what is all this Upasankramanam. In fact, in Taittiriya Upanishad it is beautiful, correct? Because initially the Srishti Krama is given. तस्माद् एतस्माद् आत्मनः आकाशः सम्भूतः आकाशाद् वायुः वायोरग्निः अग्नेरापः अद्य पृथिवी पृथिव्याम् ओषधयः ओषधिभ्यो अन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः and all that. Then what? एतम् अन्नमयमात्मानम् उपसङ्क्रामति एतम् प्राणमयमात्मानम् उपसङ्क्रामति एतम् मनोमयमात्मानम् उपसङ्क्रामति. So upasankramanam, you resolve back. Brahman alone, correct? Everything came from this Brahmatma and everything resolves back only into the Brahmatma. The, progressively, anything macro is only a Kalpita. That is very much understandable in the modern context. It is even easier. But even when Bellangonda was writing this, I don't know how much modern science and all he knew. But even there, where they are very clear, correct? He is saying that here beautifully. So he will say, what is he saying? So एवं सर्वमपि द्वैतं तत्तद् अवच्छिन्न चैतन्ये एव कल्पितमिति कृत्वा रज्जु सर्प अभावः अपि रज्जु अवच्छिन्न चैतन्यमेव. So even rajju sarpa abhava is nothing but rajju avachinna chaitanyam alone. And if you take that rajju avachinna chaitanyam further, how does it resolve? He is saying that's a rajju avachinna chaitanyam ajnana avachinna chaitanyam eva. So even Rajju Avachinna Chaitanya has to be taken as finally it will be Ajnana. It will end up in Ajnana because if you go back to the Mahabhutas, so we have all these things, correct? Avyakta, Avyaktat Mahat, Mahat to Ahankara, then the Mahabhutas and all that, correct? The Prakriti itself is Ashtada. But even there is a certain evolution is there. First there is Avyakta, which is Ajnana. And then from that Avyakta, then the Mahat is the first Buddhi Tattva. Then the Ahankara is Manas, basically. So like this, you can actually go back to Ajnana Avachinna Chaitanya Mulli. And therefore, Tasya Tatra Kalpitatva. And that Ajnana Avachinna Chaitanya is nothing but Chaitanya is Brahman. And so in Brahman only everything is Kalpita. And that again he is explaining that what Tavat Chaitanyam అజ్ఞాన అవచ్ఛిన్నం తతః మహద్ అవచ్ఛిన్నం మహదాది అవచ్ఛిన్నం తతః మహాభూత అవచ్ఛిన్నం తదుపరి భౌతిక అవచ్ఛిన్నం చ భవతి. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద ప్రోగ్రెషన్ he is explaining now, correct? Avyakta is ajnanam, then from that mahat, then ahankara, then the mahabhutani, then bhautika. The Brit is nothing but a bhautika vastu. It is an elemental. Therefore, like this, you can see that everything resolves only into Chaitanyam, and therefore we can say that even Ghata Abhava is really only Brahma Swarupa only. And what about this Avyakta? You are starting from this Avyakta or Ajnana. From there, everything has come, you are saying. Where did the Ajnana come from? Come from means we have to say Ajnanasya cha Anaditva Ajnana avachinna Chaitanyam Anadieva. So the Ajnana avachinna Chaitanyam or Avyakta is Anadi. It doesn't have a beginning because even time itself is coming only within the realm of Ajnana. Understand that. Ajnana being the Karana for both space-time itself, you cannot have a Kala, or in a very colloquial manner, if we have to say, any Ajnana, you cannot say when it began, correct? So if I simply ask you, do you know Chinese? You will say, I don't know. If I ask you, when did it start? You cannot say when it started means what? It was always there. All the time you know something, that Ajnana is always there. That's the Pragabhava also in one way, if you say. The Nayayika's Pragabhava is Anadi, but it is Santa, correct? It comes to an end. Same thing we say here. So Ajnanasya cha Anaditvat, Ajnana avachinna Chaitanyam also is, the conditioned Chaitanya also is Anadi only. All other Chaitanya have Adi Matvam is there. The Avachinna Chaitanya. Okay. So that's what he's saying. Mahadadi Avachinna Chaitanyani tu Sadini. Mahadadinam Saditva. So Mahad etc. being born from Ajnana or Avyakta, they all, that Avachinna Chaitanya is having a beginning. But Ajnana and Avyakta are Anadi. Yetena Brahmani Ajnanena Jagat Kalpyatam Nama Ajnanam Brahmani Kena Kalpitam iti Shanka Parastha. So from this what we say is, in Brahman, due to Ajnana only the entire Jagat is appearing. But that Ajnana itself, how did it appear means, it is Anadi we have to say, or we have to say the Ajnana is Swapara Nirvahakaha also. Acharya say that it can bring into existence itself and everything else. That's what we say. Because we cannot say Brahman created Ajnana, etc. Because there is no real creation. That is the point. Okay. Ajnana is not really there. So you cannot say it got created. So we have to do a quantum jump there. In fact, Gaudapadacharya does that, correct? Prapancham yadi vidyate nivarteta na samshayaha. Like that and all, there is a beautiful Karika is there. Only if it is there, really, it will go away or it will come. But that which is not really there, what is the point in asking how did it come? Correct? That question itself is irrelevant or not correct. That's all we can say finally. So that Shanka cannot be there because it is Tasya Anadi Siddhatvat. It is Anadi. Either we say it is Anadi or the question itself is not correct. Okay, further what? But then also the Purva Pakshi is not happy. He says what? Nachat Tvaya Tvaya eva Purva Muktam Ajnanam Kalpitam Karyena Lingena iti Vachyam. So we said that Karya, when the Karya are Kalpita, and if the Karya is Kalpita, what does it indicate? Ajnana also is Kalpita. So if it is Kalpita, means it should have started sometime, correct? Any appearance, when did it start appearing? You can ask. So if it is Kalpita, by that Kalpita Linga only, the Karya being Kalpita, we all accept. But Karna also is Kalpita only. And by that Linga only, it should be Sadi. means what do we say? Karyalingena Brahmanishtam Ajnanam Anumitam iti tadarthat. So the Karyalinga only points out to the Ajnana in Brahman, and due to Ajnana alone all the Karya have come. That's all we say. But that doesn't mean that the Ajnana itself has started at some point or anything. That we cannot say. In fact, he is giving some more arguments in favor of that. What he is saying is Daha Rupa Karyena Agnau Shaktim Kalpayama Ityadau Ta Tatha Arthashrayana. So basically, when we see the Jagat is Kalpitam due to Ajnana, so we are only trying to point out the Arthashraya there. Okay. Or even like when we say that the Dahaka is there in Agni, means here the Dahakatvam is there in the Agni, correct? It appears in the Agni. To point out that only we are saying that. Similarly, the world is appearing in this Avyakta or Ajnana, of course, which itself is having a dependent existence on Brahman. So the Ashraya we have to point out, correct? Ajnana, Ashraya is Brahman, we accept that, and everything else is having its Ashraya in Ajnanam. But in this case, what even in the case of Agni, in the Agni and the Dahakatvam, what he is saying is Nahi Vayam Purvam Agnau Shaktim Kalpayitum Shaknumaha. So in the Agni, where there is no Shakti of this Dahakatvam before, correct? Before that Shakti is experienced, you cannot talk about that. Even in the Agni, that Apurvam Agnav means what? Shaktim. Purvam Shaktim Agnav. In the Agni, the Dahagatva Shakti, as long as you have not experienced it, you cannot talk about it. But when did it start and all, we cannot ask. The Shakti is there in the Agni, that much only we can say. And you experienced it at some point in time. Ajnanam also is like that. Ajnana we are experiencing. Aham Ajnaha iti. But when did it start? In Brahman means, what can you say? When did the Dahakatvam start in Agni? When we say that, we cannot say that. The unexperienced Dahakatvam, when did it start? We cannot say. Similarly, unexperienced Ajnana, that's why I said, if I ask you when did the Chinese Ajnana start for you, you cannot say that, correct? So, that is the point here. So, when we say that, it is only to point out the Ashraya. That there is an Ashraya is there, but we cannot say when it started. The time aspect, the temporal aspect is not what we are trying to show. Only the locus we are showing. Okay. Then what? Nacha evam anaditve sati ajnanasya nashaha na syaditi vachyam. So the other thing is what? If you say ajnana is anadi, then it cannot be destroyed. This is the argument. Nashaha na syaditi vachyam. Why? Because anadi pragabhavasya nasha darshana. So you all accept Nayayika says that anadi pragabhava has a nasha. Like that, anadi avidya also can have nasha. There is no problem. But now what he says, no. Pragabhava is abhava, but ajnana is bhava. So anadi bhava cannot come to an end. This is their argument. Okay, so he is now saying what? Nacha anadi bhavasya nashaha na iti vachyam. So now he is saying anadi bhava cannot have nasha. Pragabhava is abhava. So it can have a nasha. I don't know how abhava can have a nasha anyway. So anadi bhavasya nashaha na iti vachyam. Why? So you cannot say that ajnanam is anadi bhava and therefore it cannot have nasha. Why? Ajnanasya bhavatva bhavatvabhyam durniroopatva. Because ajnana is neither bhava nor abhava. Therefore it can come to an end. You cannot establish it as either bhava or abhava. That is the beauty. So यदि अज्ञानम भावः तर्हि सतः तस्य निवृत्ति अयोगः, यदि अभावः तर्हि शशशृङ्गवत् प्रतीति अयोगः असतः tasya iti. So if ajnana is really bhava, it cannot be jnana nivartyaha. Correct? It cannot be destroyed by or removed by jnana. But if it is totally abhava like shashashringa, it cannot even appear. But it appears, but it is not there. Therefore, we say it is bhava, abhava vilakshana, and even though it is bhava, it is abhava vilakshanatvam being there, it is jnana nivartyatvam. Also, we have to accept. So what yadva ajnanasya anaditvam na janma abhava prayuktam kintu tat kalpaka abhava prayuktam. Okay, he is now giving another answer. He is saying, so let us say ajnana also is created. So when we say ajnana is anadi, it doesn't really mean that it doesn't have a janma. So janma abhava prayukta is not there. But you can say that when did this janma happen, nobody knows. Therefore, we call it anadi. This is another answer he is giving. So, kintu tat kalpaka abhava prayuktam he is saying. So, the when did it appear, we don't know. But it is also created, you can take. Okay, if you want to. Therefore, he is saying, kintu tat kalpaka abhava prayuktam tat janma upalakshita kala abhava prayuktam cha. And also, when did this janma happen? When did it appear? All these things we cannot say. Therefore, we call it anadhi. So, the exact time when the ajnana is born, nobody can say. Or we have to say it is kalasyapi karanam only ajnana. Therefore, we cannot really talk about a time also. Therefore, we call it anadi. So what brahmanaha akriyatvat na ajnana kalpakatvam tad bhinnam tu vastu nasti eva. So Brahman being akriyavan, Brahman cannot have any kriya, it is niskriyam, nirgunam, nishkalam, etc. And it cannot have ajnana kalpakatvam also. It cannot have that Brahman created ajnana and all, we cannot say, or made the ajnana appear, etc. That is not possible. And also, other than that, there is no real vastu anyway. So, tad bhinnam tu vastu nasti eva. Therefore, what ajnana abhave, tad janya samvatsaradi atmaka kalasya katham sattvamiti kala abhavascha nacha evam katham ajnanasya janma iti vachyam adhishtanasya brahmanaha sattva. So, ajnana abhava and tad janya samvatsaradi atmaka kala. So, the kala is in the form of year, whatever, the units of time are there, correct? And therefore, without ajnana being there, all this kala, etc., how can they have come? So the karya, ajnana karya is there. Because of that, we have to say ajnana is there. But that ajnana itself cannot be like when did it start means we cannot say that. Right? It is not a real vastu by itself. So that is what we say here. So ajnana is Brahma abhinna in one way. If you look at it from the standpoint of ajnana itself, that's why we have to say from the standpoint of Brahman there is no ajnana. So the paramarthika and vyavaharika drishti one should not confuse. If you are clear about these two things, then so we have to propose a karana for the karya. The karya is appearing, therefore we are saying karana is there. But when did the karana appear means the karanatvam and the karyatvam should have appeared at the same time. Like you are sleeping, the subject, when you wake up, the subject and object come together, correct? And before that, there was no time also. There was no cognition of time, etc. So that is how it happens. It appears. That's it. We can say, since it is appearing and you have a problem, we are giving you a solution. Otherwise, if you say, no, no, I am already Brahman and all that, you are Brahman. There is no question of any problem, or there is no need of any shastra also. That correct. So that's how we look at it. A little bit more is there in this section. We'll see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.